Wow, so we've had the brave, we've had the bold, we had the fearless there, so we've tied all that together. But how do we ensure those campaigns exist? How do they work? How do we make them smoothly transition into marketing and ultimately connecting with those consumers? Well, our next piece and our next speaker is someone I'm sure you'll be very keen to see, who's going to kind of mold that digital side, that creative side, and technology all involved into mobile. So, without further ado, let's welcome our fourth speaker of the day. It is Coco, the Global Creative Director for Teed Studios.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be here. So the microphone is, you can hear me all of you? Okay, great. So let's start. I've got a lot of content, so I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm very passionate about advertising. It's something that comes from my childhood, actually. So it's something that I feel always a lot of pleasure by sharing content with an audience. I've got just one disclaimer. I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not selling you anything, okay? I'm going to share content. So that's the good news. So let's start. Where's my presentation? Please? No? That's the middle of my presentation. Oh, no, don't do that. First slide, please. Sorry about that. So this content that I'm going to share with you is basically the result of conversation that I have with leaders of the industry from 2016 until now. So I've been identifying main trends that are sometimes correlated between different platforms, and I think this is the main challenge of marketers today, because you talk with different platforms or different actors in the ecosystem, and you receive different information, different inputs. So same as a book, if you are lazy to read a book, you're going to buy the resume, like the sum up of a book. This presentation is basically a sum up of those trends that I identified for the last 4 years. But before I'm going to share these trends, I just want to go through quickly through the big challenge of the digital advertising industry. So first, as all of us, when we search for impact in digital, we search for scale, but scale can come at a cost. Right now, because of the duopoly with Facebook, and now we're saying triopoly, but duopoly with Facebook and YouTube, the problem is that basically the main big platform that you can reach an audience, they are based on user-generated content. And user-generated content is great. I use Instagram, I use Facebook, I love it, no problem, but it's a risk for brand, because it's not, most of it, it's not qualitative content, and it can be fake news, it can elect, influence democracies all around the world, it transmits fake news, so it's quite not brand safe. Also, something that is very strange is, you knew that 2019 is going to be the first year in the US that TV is losing the #1 place for media investment, and now it's digital as a whole. That's going to be the first #1 investment. But the problem of the creative industry is that we are still creating for this big screen. And it doesn't make sense. And it's a mind shift that we need to do as an industry. Also, the question of sound. A lot of clients are still, and platforms are still advocating for video advertising with sound, but sound off is a new norm, and it's a question of common sense. You have, I shared a couple of stats, like Facebook, 85% of video advertising are seen without sound. The Chrome I did a major change in the browser so that they are blocking advertising with sound, so to avoid this kind of a situation. But it's also a question of, you have your device in your hand, and you are on the go, and among other people, and it's a question of privacy. You want to consume content without other people to detect what you're watching. So I'm going to do a 4 slides contextualization of what is TIDS. That's what we invented in 2011. In 2011, an engineer came to our CEO and brought this format. It's a video advertising that is within a content, within an editorial content. We were already working with some publisher at this time, and it's sound on activated. It means that the user need to click on the player to turn on the sound. And the major innovation actually at this time was that the video will start playing only when it's in screen. It's kind of strange, you know, sharing that with you, because it should be the norm actually of playing only when it's in screen. But the digital ecosystem doesn't work like that. It's a little bit shady sometimes. So you can think that your video is being watched by a human being, but actually is being watched by a bot. Or you think that the video is running on the fold of the screen, but actually is at the end of a page, and it's starting when the page is printed, or the impression is fired. So by doing that, by creating this format, we didn't know at this time that we are creating a new industry. And right now, we are growing much faster than pre-roll and mid-roll advertising globally. So this is a stat that P&G shared. They have been very vocal. They are a player that is challenging the industry. And let's be honest, even Facebook will be quite clear with all of you that the in-view time of video in a newsfeed is below 2 seconds. They assume that. They know that. This is not an environment that you can have a higher in-view time. And we work a lot with P&G, and with all the videos that we have been running in our platform, we reach an 11.6 seconds average in-view time. And I'm not talking about content that I'm going to share in a couple of seconds that were optimized. Like it's the whole range of content from P&G that's sometimes it's just a regular TV ad. And because we created the format for video and this slot, the space, we own it, that is among the editorial content, the next big step was to create display advertising. But display is boring. Banner, no one's look at it, so much restriction, it needs to be very small, nobody look at it. So we wanted to reinvent the experience, to make it something that is really engaging. And by doing that, our next step was to create also a new model for the cost per click industry, but I don't want to bore you with this thing. This is more for the seller from Teads. You can have those conversations, but we are really outcome-driven company. So that's what I do and my team. We are 120 people all over the world. Our team creatively called Teads Studio. Teads is a company of 850 people, actually. And you know, the comparison is quite easy. You have a TV commercial that is really sound dependent. It's going to be a typical 30-second video. We shorten a little bit the video, and you saw the text on the video, right? It's not subtitle. Subtitle doesn't work in mobile. We add caption. Caption, it's not a translation of a literal voiceover content. It's the main ideas of the video that are written big in the screen. So we can transform a TV commercial in something that really works for mobile. So this is a typical sentence. We always say that content is king. And what we do at Teads Studio is mobile optimization. We embrace the content, and we tweak it to make it work harder for mobile. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you by sharing 5 main trends of digital content. As I told you, a couple of partners that work with Teads, such as Refinery29, that is specialized in content for women audience, BuzzFeed, a brave company that is always testing new content, new form of interaction, Vice. I've been meeting C-levels in those companies to understand how they approach content. And I identified those five trends that I'm going to share with you. It's not only about mobile execution. You're going to see it's a more broader discussion about content. So let's start by this word. This word is a little bit strange. It looks like it's wrong, but it's right. Iteration means basically testing and learning. So the ability of, to make a connection with the first presentation of the day, it's the ability for a brand to do mistakes and learn from it. Basically, that would be my message. So right now, the industry, the creative industry, is able to create what we call the storytelling as a build-up. Build-up is the typical TV commercial that goes to Cannes, that at the beginning of the video you have a situation, you have a couple of people that appear, a challenge is presented to them, they overcome the challenge, and the concept of the brand appear here, and this is the pack shots of the product or the brand. This is the way that the creative industry was taught to create advertising. The problem is that we all know that the retention in digital is like this. So if you keep the high impact scene at the end and the brand, you're going to miss most of your audience. We all know that. So a couple of friends of mine, actually, that work at Creative Shop from Facebook, they will tell you, hey, I've got the answer. Take your impactful scene with your product, put it at the beginning, and then you pray. You pray that the audience is going to keep watching your video. But I believe that they do this kind of advice ignoring that it can break the storytelling, first. And second, they advise to do that because they have a 2-second review time. So that's their only shot to bring efficiency. So I'm not a strong believer of this hook and immersive way of telling a story. I want to share with you, though, an example of a storytelling that's called Heartbeat, but the most interesting thing about that is I'm not advocating for heartbeat storytelling, okay? I'm just telling you that it's a social media team from DDB in Brazil using a budget of $30,000. They experiment something, and they basically delivered the higher retention video in digital in history. And they did that for McDonald's. So let's watch it. So here, it's from Brazil. So the message is, who is in a hurry needs to go to the drive-thru, or goes to the drive-thru. Sound is okay, it increased a little bit the experience, but the thing is, the next situation, what is it? After the journalist, what's gonna happen? So the video suddenly has a heartbeat way of telling a story because it makes you wonder what's the next situation, right? So I won't play it, I'm sorry, I know maybe there's a couple of people in the room that want to know after the golf cart what's going to happen, but I'm going to cut it. But here I'm just advocating for experimenting.
Hey, you, the one with the designer dog collar. It's fine, your human isn't listening. Wondering how I upgraded to this amazing penthouse? A 1,200 square foot bathroom, and my very own indoor spa.
So it's a 1.11 second branded content. It's entertaining. Dog is telling you that he's basically he's human in his pocket, but you don't understand what is the brand, you don't understand what is the product. It's very depending on sound. So you've got several, let's say, problems in terms of mobile advertising in this kind of situation. So we do iteration at Teach Studio as well. We do stuff that we are not sure that they're going to work, but we ask our client to run the original ad, there's no problem, but we would like to run an optimized version. So the optimized version is, first, sorry, I know it's big logo. If there's creative in the room, they will hate me forever. But by putting the brand in context, in an article, we increase normally by 25% the view-through rate of the video. We put a call to action, we learn more, because maybe someone just wants to learn more, even if it's at the first 2 or 3 seconds of the video. But most importantly, now you can run the video without sound. So it's not literal. And the most important thing here, we edited the video. It was originally a video of a 1.11 second. Now you have a 20-second video that is great. You can build your story, create emotion, and now you have a piece of advertising that is working for mobile. So this is the the kind of thing that we do with our clients that is very, basically experimenting format, edition, caption, all in the same, in the same bucket. Second trend, this is a trend that I love. We called it atomization. So atomization is like understanding that the core of a campaign idea, that can be a 30-second video. It could be a print ad, like Copernic, sacrificing everything, or I don't remember exactly the text. It could be the sponsorship of Fashion Week. That is the big idea of your campaign. Whatever is your big idea, the fact is, it's going to be the heart of your campaign, and all the other activities, they are like electrodes. They are around your big ideas, and they need to adapt to each one of the point of contact, right? So I'm going to show you a video that is a hero content. That's the heart of a campaign. It's a 60-second video. It's beautiful. The problem is that you can think that is related. I edited this scene because it was a scene that impacted me and because it was really connected with the briefing that I received from the team. But basically, you don't understand what it is. You can think that it's about fashion, but you don't know the brand. You don't know the product. So, and it's long, actually, for mobile. 60 seconds is a big challenge. But this was the hero content of this campaign. Actually, it's a campaign of perfume. It's called Joy. It's from Dior. It's going to be revealed at the second 56 or 57 second, but I need to pass. I don't want to lose too much time. So what we have done by atomization, we embrace the hero content, and we allow ourselves to extract a piece of it, and we repurpose it for mobile. So disclaimer here, important. If you open your cell phone instead of writing, you open your camera, you point to this QR code. You can zoom the camera if you're in the middle of the room. It will pop up a window with a Safari so that you can browse to this page, because I'm going to show you a unit that is working perfectly in this environment, but I want you to have this experience. So what we have done, we extract this scene that was very impactful. We add the brand logo, we add the product, a call to action, and we basically, what is modern about this format that is called flow, it's basically the user is in control of the advertising. You scroll and you animate a short piece of video scene. So obviously we choose this video on purpose. It's very memorizing to see someone looking at you. And we delivered amazing performance. In average, this kind of formats in our platform has an average in-view time of 7 seconds. So it's quite a good amount of time to create the impact that is desired. Choice in immersion. That's a third trend that I want to share with you. Those are old articles, but it's something that is always coming up, that advertising now, the new norm is short video, short content, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds. I think it's kind of a mistake because, yes, the attention in average is going down, but it doesn't mean that when a user is more interested about your brand, you should repeat and repeat and repeat the same 15-second video or the same 6-second video, because it's an opportunity that you're losing. So there's a sentence that I love that says, when consumers choose a piece of content, they usually want more of it. That's something that we need to incorporate in our daily life. We are not working for the 90% awareness that we're going to reach for 7 seconds. We are also working for the loyal advocate of the brand that maybe represents 3%, 5% of your audience or 10% of your audience, and you need to deliver value to them. And sometimes value comes in the form of content. So look at this ad. I don't even know the budget that was put in this production. It's 3 minutes, 35 seconds. It's Hollywood casting.
got
several
that, Burberry?
different locations.
I
It's
made
the
it.
story of Thomas Burberry.
No one sees the world like my Tom.
Oh, the storm clouds were moving across your eyes, and I could hear.
Can you lower the sound a little bit?
drums pounding from inside your mind.
So, you
I
could
intend to lead a
argue
group of men to the
that
Antarctic.
this is the long form of content,
For
right?
someone to supply the entire expedition
This
with
is
protective clothing.
super brave to do this kind of
What is
content.
this?
And then
It's what you've been
from
looking
this
for.
piece of long form of content,
People come
you
to
just
me
need
with
to
their
adapt for your campaign in
They're
shorter
going to
form,
attempt the impossible.
and you're good, right? Not quite. Because the audience, when they are reached with this piece of content, they want the full movie. Because it's so good. And let's remember, it's a piece of content that is telling the story of the founder of your company and will bring you in an emotional roller coaster explaining you how the company was founded. How valuable is that? That's why I was amazed also by the work that Formula One did with Netflix. They allowed them to create this documentary that is available right now. It's amazing. It's something that really can move someone that was disconnected from the sport to be passionate again. How powerful is that? So choice and immersion. We do that also. I don't want to oversell what we do, but for example, we create this interactive unit that you can basically leave the audience choose what piece of content they are more interested with. Content weight. I met Alexander Jutkovich in 2016 in New York, and he's a fascinating guy. He's a specialist in digital content. And he told me this, that basically the way people consume content is the same way that they go to a restaurant or they eat food. So basically, most of the time, you're in a hurry, you're going to snack. You don't have time to consume too much content. Sometimes you can go out of the office and have lunch for 20 minutes. I'm based in New York, by the way. They don't do that. They just pick their salad on their keyboard. I hate that because I'm French. I like a good table. But also, sometimes you can go with friends, and you can spend 3 hours on a table. And it's you that decide this. It's not the owner of the restaurant. It depends on your mood, on your moment. So the way people consume content is exactly the same. So he's inviting us, and he invited me, to think of content strategy in these 3 classes: lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight content. And for each one of them, there's a role. So lightweight is to hook the attention. We want to bring someone to the brand. The middleweight, that would be typically a 15-second video, for example, it's about building awareness and consideration. And the heavyweight content, that could be a live content, an immersive, augmented reality content, something that requires more attention, fall into the bucket of heavyweight. And at TIDS and with TID Studio, we also advocate for that with our brands. And most of the time, brands will pick one of it. But what we want to invite them in during a campaign is having a more 360 approach, and 360, not 360 days, like a more liquid approach, creating all those different experiences and make the user, we need to realize that the user is in control. It's not us. It's an illusion. In digital, we are not in control. The audience is. And the last trend that I want to share with you is about personalization. And there's a lot of conversation about that. There's a lot of people that write articles about data. Data is the new, big thing in advertising. But I think I want to share this backstory that I was invited to a briefing for P&G. And I loved the setup, actually. We were in a room. There were like probably 40 people in the room. And the client was super generous with us, because they shared not only the briefing of this campaign, but they also shared the weaknesses that they found in the way that the brand was communicating. So this is the reintroduction of Downy in Brazil. So you have a TV commercial. I just selected a piece of it. And you have this magical effect on your dress because it protects you against bad odor, okay? So something typically that we would do is that within our environment, we want to add the branding. So you've got the logo, you make it clear to the consumer that there's a new formula, the tagline that you wear perfume all day long. And just by doing this optimization, like I was saying before, we increased the view-through rate of the video by 25% in average. But the client was super, super honest with us. And he briefed everyone you can imagine. There was like BuzzFeed, Oath, Google, Facebook, everyone in the room to understand that basically the consumer he sees this magical effect on the dress, but maybe he doesn't believe it, right? And we need to convince him that the product is efficient against the enemy of bad odors. So what we have delivered, what we have idealized for this, is a DCO that leverages time of the day. So between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m., we would basically show this unit, that it protects you against pollution. So let me just come back and run with the video because it's not fair to watch it like this. Okay, so the consumer would be reached with this unit between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m. Why? Because they are on the street, sidewalk, bus, subway, and the enemy is pollution. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., oh, the big enemy is lunch orders. That's what concerns you. And after 3 p.m., it will be the bad odor of a long journey, of a long day. So by doing that, we basically delivered the solution that was required by the brand, but you are just optimizing a TV commercial. It's something that is super easy to do, actually. So that was the main trends that I wanted to share with you. So by iteration is an invitation of, making mistakes, learning from it, testing and learning, being brave about it. And when you're working with a partner, an agency or a platform like us, most of the time when I present something that is disruptive, that has never been done, I've got two types of clients. The type of client that asks for benchmark, and if it's going to work, for sure or not. And the type of client that are, let's go for it. Let's learn together. And if it's not working, it's okay. Be the second one. That's the one that is able to learn from the future and being a more contemporary brand. Atomization with the Jennifer Lawrence unit that I showed you with the flow, choice, and immersion. Content weight, that is an invitation of breaking our logic of a few new campaign and personalization. So mobile has been around for a long time, right? We have been saying that in advertising, mobile would be the revolution. I think the first time that I heard that was in early 2000 or something like that. It took a lot of time because data, the access, was not fast enough. 2007 was the first iPhone with mainly not only touch, but the fact that now you can install apps from everywhere. So it took a lot of time to be something that is really interesting for advertising. And right now, what we do at Teach Studio is that we want to leverage the power of the device. The device is everything for the user. It's intimate, it's multimedia. So what we can do, what we can achieve, is creating experience for brands that are much more disruptive than just watching a video. And we have been doing that on a regular basis. And the next example that I'm going to show you, and then the presentation will be over, is an example of that. But what we have done in terms of experience is creating a unit that you can drag and drop elements, you can scratch, you can shake the cell phone. And here, I'm not telling you that you should do it. I'm just telling you that sometimes, based on your product and based on your briefing, it will make sense. Technology is at your service, not the opposite. So I've got clients that tell me, oh, what's the new thing? What's the new format? My usual answer is, what's your briefing? What's your challenge? And maybe the next tech, the next disruption will come from it. It's a totally different approach. And so that's exactly the last thing that I want to show you. And I'm not showing this amount of example from P&G because I've got Nurelia and Jerry D'Angelo in the room. It's because P&G is a very important client to us, very close, brave, and we have been doing a lot with them. So that was the video advertising for the launch of a diaper in Mexico with Air Channel. This product is being rolled out all over the world, actually. So let's see it again. Look at this beautiful baby. She's amazing. She make me remember my second daughter. She smile, and she has the, wind in her hair. So the reason why she has wind in her hair is that, now the diaper has Air Channel, and her bottom is really dry. So the first thing when I see this kind of advertising, I congratulate the client. Why? Because this video is working perfectly for mobile. 15 seconds, great. Sound off, you see that you don't even need the sound. I'm sorry, it's the original version in Spanish, but you can understand everything from this advertising. But because P&G is such an important client, and we always want to impress our important client, we did this. We create a unit that is an invitation. We froze the video, and it's an invitation to click and blow. So you click, Pampers will you need to allow Pampers to access your microphone. You blow the mic, and it happened that. Cute, huh? Imagine, even if we have 1% of the audience that go through this experience, it's 1% of the audience that you are amazing, that you are doing something that is connected with the briefing, that is connecting with your product, but the experience is amazing. So I want to leave you with this last example, and thank you for your attention. And I will have a last request, actually. Yes, that's the last QR code. If you want the deck, the presentation that I just shared, if you scan this QR code, you will land on the website. And there's, at some point, a request form with your email, contact information. And you send me a note, and I'll send you back the presentation. But I want to ask you one last thing. I'm into gadgets. I always buy gadgets, and my last gadget is the 360 camera, because I'm trying to understand everything about VR and immersive stuff. And it's an excuse, actually, just to use the camera. But my kids, they need to understand why I'm away from New York and from them. And they are 3 years old and 6 years old, so for them, it's a little bit difficult to understand. So I've got a message for them. And I'm going to ask you something that maybe you don't want to do, but you're going to have to applaud in the video, okay? Because you need to show that it was a great presentation. But hold on, just a second. Alice e Chloé, o papai fica longe para fazer apresentações no mundo inteiro, mas é porque as pessoas também estão interessadas nas coisas que eu falo. Então, vamos ver aqui se elas gostaram. Vou perguntar em inglês. Let's see if the people enjoyed my presentation. Did you enjoy it? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate some great insights there. Obviously, pulling on the heartstrings at the end. I like that. Brilliant. Before you go, we've got time for one question, I think, before we head into the break. Does anyone have a question for Coca? Or you've all downloaded his presentation? Oh, we have one right there. There we go.
Hi. So my question might be multi-part, but I think it's easy for you to answer. It's about iteration. One is, how do you know, like, the cycle, the time period, in order for you to iterate? So if you start something and then you're not getting the results that you understand, that you want, how do you know at what point do you cut off and start doing something new?
It's a great question.
How do you know what the thing is that you should do? So, like, how did you know that you should put the brand on the screen as opposed to something else?
I don't have a good memory. Let me ask for the first thing, and then I go to the next one. So first, that's an excellent question, because iteration is really connected to optimization, right? So when you do an advertising, you put it live. We have a lot of data available, so that based on the data, we need to react fast and optimize this creative to make it work harder, right? The only solution to do that is simplify the process. If you have 10 different agencies, 15 different stakeholders, and a very bureaucratic process, you will never do optimization. So the way we do optimization, we do it with clients that trust us. And basically, we will tell them, even prior to the launch of a campaign, we will have a couple of versions. And we will run all of them. And our AI will put more media on the unit that work the best. So that's the best setup. And when it's not available to do it, then you run your campaign, and after usually, let's say 3 days, you have enough data to take decision. And then the big challenge again is your speed to optimize the creative. At Teach Studio, we have a work turnaround, an SLA for our clients of 5 working days. 5 working days to create a unit by optimizing. So imagine that in average, globally, we deliver, it takes us 3.26 days to deliver an optimization. So it's possible to do it. But if the email with the unit that was optimized stayed parked in an inbox for 10 days, then you lose the window, maybe. So that's the question. We really need to have the right stakeholder to approve and to go forward. The second one was?
How do you know what changes to make?
Oh, that's so. When we are in very disruptive one, we don't know. We are just explorer in the dark. You know, we are totally in the dark. We don't know where we're going, and we experiment. So that's where we need to be bold, and there's no benchmark. But for most of the advertising that we deliver, 98%. It falls into experience. We have been running so many ads that are optimized. We do 56,000 optimization a year. And that was 2018. We'll probably be around 100,000 campaigns optimized in 2019. So it's based on experience. We know, for example, for a fact, and it's not exactly the example for Wells Fargo, if you put a header on your video with the logo, and most importantly, a sentence, a couple of words that give context of the video, it increases dramatically the view-through rate of your video. Because we are in an editorial content environment, people read, actually. By giving them this service, you tell them the brand, and you give them context of the video, they watch it. They watch it more and for more time. And it's based on experience, it's based on hundreds of thousands of creative that we run on a daily basis. Okay?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Coca. Wonderful stuff.